trying to expedite my travel permit, and it doesn't seem to be working, and I can't like I ready to walk to Ukraine. I'm ready to literally walk to Ukraine because I want to be in Lviv, and I want to be able to, and I want to, YouTube is working, by the way, and I want to be able to help from within, and I want to be able to film what's happening, and I know that, like, had I been on the ground in Ukraine, like, more people would be watching it and more people would care because they would see what's happening, right? Like, firsthand. I know that if I was on the ground in Ukraine, I could, like let's say you can't ship those like thermal imaging devices. You can just and I can just like you can send thermal imaging devices, and you can only bring them in like a suitcase with you. Um, so I could do that. I could bring thermal imaging devices, which is something our army really needs. I could do a lot of things that I can't do. Thank you, Steve. That I can't do. I could sort humanitarian aid in Lviv. I could drive to Kyiv and bring humanitarian aid because not that many people want to drive to different places. I could. There's so many things that I could do had I been there. And at this point, I I don't think that I'm gonna be okay unless I can go to Ukraine and actually do something in Ukraine, because I want to be there for my country. I want to be on the ground in my country. I want to be near my parents. I and I just I that's all it is. But the thing is, I can't leave the United States unless USCIS lets me, and I've been trying to expedite it, and it's just not. It's not working. As in, my lawyer is busy. Like, my lawyer is a good lawyer but also hard to like communicate with sometimes. There's just so much, and like, I just had a day, and I really appreciate that a lot of you guys cared, and you weren't indifferent, and that you reached out and you wanted to make sure I'm fine. I'm okay. I promise I'm okay. I'm eating, I'm mentally okay. It's just, I'm one person, and I think I'm handling this as well as one probably can in the circumstances, but you know, sometimes it's more difficult than it is on another day. With that said, my dad yesterday, being the best dad that he is, there are these earrings from a Ukrainian designer, and they're basically spikelets of wheat. And I saw these earrings. I can't afford these earrings right now, and I saw them like 2 or 3 months ago. I think like right when the war just began. And to me, it's like they're very unique in that they remind me of Ukraine, and that like spikelets of wheat is like such a Ukrainian thing for me. And it's like how you have heirlooms, right? Yeah. Those linked in my site, and they were sold out for the longest time. And the Bevza earrings, yeah, and they were sold out for the longest time. And it's like, to me, those earrings were kind of like an heirloom. Like, I really wanted to have them because it was just like a symbol of something very Ukrainian, and I could imagine myself wearing them with a vyshyvanka on holidays till the rest of my days. And genuinely, it's like a very much Ukraine symbol for me. And I know it's stupid. Like, I don't need the earrings. It's not like I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have these. Like, I really wanted them. And my dad called me yesterday, and my mom called me yesterday too. And both of them were like, hey, we just saw that they're back in stock, and we know that they're selling out. My mom was like, is this something that you would want for your birthday? And I was like, yes, I would love that for my birthday. And then my mom was like, okay. And my mom was like, okay, well, tomorrow I'll try to like buy them for you. Like, I know, like, my mom also doesn't have an opportunity right now to like really just like kind of throw money around or anything like that. And um and she was like, but I know they sell out, so I'm just gonna like figure it out, and I want to get them for your birthday and whatever. Like, I was like, you don't have to, whatever. And then my dad called me, and he was like, hey, I saw that these are back in stock, and I really want to get them for you. And so he so he like bought them for me. And I can't, like, my dad, here's like the thing, everybody in Ukraine is really worried, and everybody in Ukraine doesn't know like what's going to happen, and like what's going to be like next and stuff like that. And my dad is also not like bathing in income, or super, nobody's secure. And it's like, the amount of things that my dad has been doing is just like sort of like, I know they all seem like materialistic, right? Or they all seem sort of like clothes or like whatever, but this is like my dad's love language. My dad's love language is sort of like it is gifts. And he has been just, and like all of them were have been really thoughtful, you know? And it's really, and it's just like it kind of like breaks my heart and makes my heart at the same time that he like keeps doing these things, because I'm not the one who is in super scary circumstances, you know? My dad is. But with that said, like yesterday I was at there is a Brooklinen store in in my neighborhood ish, and I don't know if this was like if this was planned for them or if this was just a coincidence, but they released two robes a while ago. I think the sales associate said that they came out before the war, but they released them in a blue color and a yellow color, and they're very like, they're like these, you know, like they're kind of wintry though, but they're these robes that you would wear after you took a shower, and they're very like comfy and whatnot. And remember how my dad said that on Victory Day he's going to be sitting in the center of Lviv, walking around. Well, he's going to be walking around the center of Lviv in a robe and drinking coffee. And so my idea now is that I want to get those robes again. Like right now, it's not. This is not the right time to get the robes, because there are better things I can spend $150 on. Because together they're $150. But they're a blue robe and a yellow robe, and I don't know if it's a coincidence. I don't know if they just put out those colors because they were like suddenly supporting Ukraine, or if it was just like a literal coincidence. Um, yeah, he's gonna have underwear under the robe, but like I thought that it would be a great joke and like a great gag and a great like pick me up to buy these robes for Victory Day, and like my dad would wear the blue one and I would wear the yellow one. Доброго ранку, привіт, Київ. Oh, hi, Rena. Yeah, привіт, Київ, привіт, привіт. Um, and so yeah, I thought it would be like a really funny, that was like, you know, I had like an ups and downs day yesterday, because like part of my day was just like complete garbage, and part of my day was just kind of like, it was just very sweet. Also, today was a much nicer day in terms of like generally, I don't know, life circumstances. It felt like everything was just sort of falling into place. Like it was really funny. I was on the train today coming back from the city home, and it was peak hour. I didn't even realize, and the whole train was like completely packed, just like jam packed, right? Like sardines in a can. And Cindy decided that she's tired. She was running errands with me all day, and she just plopped down on like on the floor of the train cart. And this was the picture in the train. So everybody was obsessed with Cindy. Everybody kept coming up to Cindy and like petting her and stuff like that. And then she decided that she needs to lounge, and she like sprawled out as far as she possibly could. And we were going between like Manhattan and Brooklyn, so there was like this large time span where nobody, where the train wasn't stopping and the doors weren't opening and no more people were coming in. And so all of these people just kind of like gave her this circle of floor space where she could like sprawl out, and everybody was just like standing like this so my dog could freaking take a nap on the floor of the full subway cart. And at some point some man was like standing, he like his back was basically facing Cindy, so he didn't see that there was a dog, and he was like standing there and he was just like on his phone or like or something, and he stepped back and he almost stepped on Cindy, and some man comes up to him and he's like, excuse me, I'm sorry, there is a dog behind you. And I was like laughing so much because like this is not, like, to be fair, I should be picking Cindy up and giving you people space. This man is not to blame for the fact that he was stepping back and didn't see the dog there. Like the entire train is jam packed except for this one little circle around Cindy. Let me see if because sometimes my photos save on my iPad too, regardless of whether I took them on my iPad or phone. And no, those, I don't think those synced yet, because I took a picture of that. It was literally, it was like me, my like legs, and then Cindy, and then just like a circle around, and then you can see how jam packed everything else is. And so that obviously made my day. Do foreign soldiers need to be vaccinated to join Ukrainian army? That's actually a good question. I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. Um, I think that probably if they do require vaccinations, then they could vaccinate you on site. But I don't think I haven't heard that. I'm not sure, honestly. So yeah, this is this is my incentives and all. Yeah, I'm gonna post it on Patreon. I'm definitely gonna post it on Patreon. I also thought about something. What I might actually do for Patreon is if we reach a certain amount of Patreon subscribers, actually instead of doing so, I wanted to do a fundraiser, but there are plenty of things that I can do a fundraiser with, and I think that one of the things that I do want to do on Patreon as a very big thank you for having supported me is I am going to take those 6 post stamps with Russian worship, and I am going to basically pick a random Patreon, whatever it is, whatever the word is, patron, as to gift a post stamp to the Russian worship Go F Yourself post stamp. And I might do like a couple of them. So depending on I guess the amount of subscribers, the amount of stamps will go up to. Yeah, I know, James. I know, but still counts. Oh, you guys, most of you have some. That's kind of interesting. Wow. Okay, well, look at you. Look at you, fancy with your Russian worship post stamps. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yes. What does my shirt say? I think it's just the name of the brand of the shirt. There's really nothing to. I actually didn't even realize that these handles said something until I was recording a video and I saw that they did. I think they still have them on eBay. They're $50 a sheet. So there is that. Hi, Fernando. Yeah. Okay. So let's jump into the news So, unfortunately, we're going to start with the news of cholera epidemic is spreading in Mariupol. The occupiers closed the city for quarantine. Yes, I did the book giveaway, and Bridget from Queensland, Australia, was the one who won the book. It's on. I pinned the comment. So every time there is a giveaway and it ends, I pin the comment, and that's the winner. And also, I think I did announce it. I did announce it last time on here. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, definitely, because I remember writing down a description to the saved live on Patreon and saying giveaway winner. But so basically the way that I did that giveaway is I asked why you would want to have that book, because I wanted to pick somebody whose reason resonated the most with me. And Bridget's reason, although everybody's reasons were valid and good and stuff like that, and there were plenty of people who wanted to do really good things with the book. But so Bridget has been teaching her kids Ukrainian, and they're picking it up really well. And she wanted to gift the book to their school so more kids can learn about Ukraine. And I don't know, that just resonated with me quite a bit. And that's why I picked Bridget. Okay, so there is a cholera epidemic spreading through Mariupol. We are watching the city close. In addition, information has begun to come out that in the Russian side of Rostov-on-Don has already prepared separate infectious diseases departments where they're preparing to receive their own military who may fall as a result of the epidemic. And the word cholera sounds inside the city, inside the occupation authorities and their curators. Andrushenko, the mayor of Mariupol, said. Not a single appearance in public by Foreign Minister Lavrov passes without a mention of Ukraine. This time, Lavrov spoke about the negotiation process and called the desire to return the state of affairs as of February 24th a fantasy, and Ukraine's refusal to negotiate, according to the Russian diplomat, is the will of the Anglo-Saxon world. He could not help but threaten once again the West because of the supply of weapons and said, the more long range systems that the West supplies to Ukraine, the further we will push the Nazis away from the territories where the threat to Russia comes from. Yes, because there's so much threat to Russia. Pamela, hi, thank you. Also, I wanted to say thank you to Tammy, which I did already, but I put this like stupid thing on my Amazon wish list. Well, I think it's kind of stupid, but it was just like, oh no, whatever. It was a leash. It was a blue leash and a yellow collar for Cindy, and I know it's dumb, but it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's something. And Tammy had very kindly purchased the blue leash for Cindy, and it arrived today, and it honestly made my day because it was very sweet. And I didn't again, Amazon doesn't tell me when somebody buys something off of the wish list, so I have no idea most of the times, unless I go into the list and then I go through a weird amount of filters and stuff like that. And so it was very, very but it was very, very sweet, and it honestly put the biggest smile on my face because I can't wait to see Cindy. I can't wait to see Cindy in her little blue leash. Oh yes! Oh my gosh! How many trolls? Thank you, Tammy. I was warned yesterday that there would be a lot of trolls on the live, but I didn't realize yesterday there weren't that many. So I'm assuming they're coming in today. So the King Kaiodu or whatever. Yes, so I saw that, and I was actually about to make a video about the Amazon application. So Joey Contino posted a video about Amazon because their application to Amazon now says this. I will show you because Joey sent me the picture. I asked him to. Well, I mean, he actually reached out to me asking me if I saw it and then sent me a picture. Anyways, long story, but Joey, where are you? Here. So when you apply for work at Amazon, now it gives you this form. And this form basically says, are you living in or are you currently physically located in any of these countries? Cuba, Iran, North Korea, Syria, or the Crimea, DNR, or LNR region of Ukraine? And then it says, no, I don't. Yes, I do. And then it says, what is your most recent citizenship? ? Note, Amazon asks these questions for the purpose of compliance with federal export control laws and regulations. Amazon will provide you immigration support and sponsorship where you and the role are eligible. Your answers to the immigration sponsorship questions will not automatically disqualify you from the job. But here's the thing. So it doesn't include Russia, right? Russia is not in that list. So it's DNR, LNR, Crimea, but not Russia. And at first, I was like, what in the hell? Russia is the occupier. But I think so basically then I thought about it and I was like, wait, Russia is not on the list because they're listing all of the countries that are under a dictatorship regime that are being genuinely oppressed, right? As in by occupation. And so I figured Russia's not on the list because they're not about to help Russia with immigration. And I hope that that's the reasoning, not oh, we don't want to hire you from these areas because it's too difficult. Because it could go both ways, right? It could be they're asking you because they want to know, to be prepared for tackling your immigration issue, or they're asking you because they're like, oh yeah, I don't want to deal with it. But it did say that one of the things that was very great about it, it said Crimea, DNR, or LNR regions of Ukraine. Oh my God, Brooke, you didn't have to. Thank you, Brooke. That's very, very sweet of you. Thank you. Hi. You guys are so kind and you're so sweet and you have no idea the difference that you're making for Ukraine and for me personally and for just everybody. And I honestly cannot believe how much I've lucked out on this app with the community of people that I was exposed to, because genuinely your efforts to help Ukraine and your attention and the fact that you keep being here, and that you are here nightly, and that you listen, and that you understand, and that you like. Thank you. All I'm trying to say is that thank you very, 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 very much. You guys are amazing, and you guys are awesome, and you are honestly the absolute best. And you have no idea how much difference you have made for everyone. And thank you. Just thank you very much for being here. I'm sorry to ask this. Why do you call yourself a spy? Is that a profession? No, it's that's such a funny, not a funny. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at this. I don't call myself. Well, I guess now I do, but it wasn't. During my first videos that I've ever put on this platform, there were Russian bots and like random Americans saying that I could not possibly be Ukrainian because my accent is not. I don't have a Ukrainian accent, and my accent is too American, and like I work for the CIA, and that I work for the CIA, and that I work for the MI6, and that I work for, everybody's paying me. I'm on everyone's payroll. I don't see the money, but I'm on everyone's payroll, And so I figured I'd embrace the image because it was just kind of funny that everybody and their mother was just like, you are not Ukrainian enough, you don't sound Ukrainian, you don't sound like this, so you have to be paid by Americans. So basically, yeah, that's why a Ukrainian American spy joke was born, because clearly I'm paid by the CIA. Thank you guys, you're the best. And what was there? Yeah, so that's where Ukrainian American spy is coming from. And someone said that their father from Armed Forces of Ukraine said that their father from Armed Forces of Ukraine said that the victory is near. Well, I really, really, really hope so. I really hope so, for the sake of all of our guys and girls and parents and kids and people. Yeah, and that's what it is. And also somebody asked if I don't like contact lenses. I don't know if that was like a precursor to like writing something offensive. I actually don't. I really don't like touching my eyes in general, and my eyes are very sensitive, and so I prefer to wear glasses. I also really like glasses. I feel like they're just another accessory. Like, is it annoying? Yes, especially if I'm in bed and I'm like trying to lay down on the pillow and read, and they go like this. Yeah, that's annoying. But I actually am I like glasses. Yeah, I would consider LASIK at some point for sure, because I am a designer who needs to work at a computer, and I've been spending so much time in front of 2-3 screens nightly that at some point it would actually be useful. And my thing is that I'm astigmatic AF, which is, I think I'm like, I used to be, so in my senior year of high school, my astigmatism was minus 0.5. It's now minus 3.25. So that means if I'm looking at a screen that's lit up, it's like, spaceship. So yeah, so I definitely do need glasses when I'm doing this, because otherwise I'm like, I don't see your comments. But anyways, I digress. Okay. Well, I didn't know. It's just like there are trolls that, like, I don't know, talk about my eyebrows. There are trolls that talk about like so many random things, and I'm just like, sir, I'm not 12. It's really hard to target my self-esteem, because all of your jokes and offensive things are basically like what, a fifth grade kind of rhetoric. And if I got offended by that, that'd be quite upsetting. And also, I've said this before, but I'm just going to say it since we were on the topic of trolls and self-esteem and stuff like that, right? Is like, anytime somebody targets you for your appearance, I think it's so stupid, because you choose what you wear, you choose what you put on yourself, you like it, right? So somebody saying that it's ugly or they don't like it or something like that, like, okay, all right. Like, good for you, man, woman, they. Like, I don't care. I like it. Right? Like, it's just like, uh, hi, Charles. Yeah, so it's like kind of one of those things where, like, what are you trying to do here? Like, clearly I chose to put whatever it is on. Clearly I chose to do my eyebrows a certain way. Clearly I chose to, like, wear glasses of a certain kind. Like, I don't care that you don't like them. I don't care that you think I look stupid. Like, no, I didn't ask you. And neither should you. My whole point is that if anybody ever tries to make fun of your appearance, don't let it get to you, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You know, you look great, and appearance is literally the last thing. Будет эфир на украинском, а то я не понимаю. У меня эфиры, у меня как бы эфиры для англоязычной аудитории, поэтому они обычно на английском. Но у меня по субботам в 9 часов вечера по Киеву будут эфиры с украинским историком, и она будет рассказывать про разные темы. Thank you so much. Первая тема в эту субботу будет Крым, история Крыма, и она будет на украинском и на английском. То есть она будет говорить на украинском, и переводчик будет переводить на английский как бы постепенно. То есть если хотите, то подпишитесь на YouTube и смотрите там по субботам в 9 часов по Киеву. No, sorry, I was just, somebody asked if I'm going to do lives in Ukrainian because they're Ukrainian and it's more difficult for them to understand English. And I was just explaining the YouTube. Oh yeah, that hat. And I was just explaining the YouTube situation, and that YouTube lives with Ukrainian historian are going to be in both languages because she speaks Ukrainian, and her Ukrainian is just going to be like consecutively translated into English. So that's it. That's all I was saying. Well, 1 in 4 words is better than nothing, Jason. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, John looks so funny with that hat. I love it. I also love it when he has like the glasses. Honestly, John just like looks really funny with all of those. Like, not funny in a bad way, but I feel like they were made for him. Like, he has the look to have all of these like fun accessories. Hi, Daniel. Do Ukrainians and Russians speak the same language? Well, no, we don't. We don't speak the same language, and they are not nearly as similar as people assume. And I feel like at this point, I'm happy to answer this question, but I also feel like at this point in the war, and at this point in how much Ukraine was on the news and how many things we have learned about Ukraine, like, it's safe to say that it's quite offensive to ask if Russian and Ukrainian is the same language. No, it's not. Ukrainian people speak Ukrainian and Russian people speak Russian. Ukrainian people were made to speak Russian forcefully during Soviet Union, during Russian Empire, during various times in history where Russia was abusing us. Russia was abusing us. So yes. So Ukrainian people do not speak, like, Ukrainian people never spoke Ukrainian until Russia imposed it on us through repressions, through genocide, and through other means. Okay. Russia may be trying to sell Ukrainian grain to African countries. In May, U.S. diplomats warned 14 countries, most of them in Africa, that Russian ships carrying stolen grain could be heading their way. Thank you. Faced with a drought, many countries are unlikely to hesitate before buying it, according to the publication. Countries could potentially be faced with a difficult choice between, on the one hand, benefiting from possible war crimes and the displeasure of a powerful Western ally, and, on the other hand, refusing cheap food at a time when wheat prices are skyrocketing and hundreds of thousands of people are starving. Russia and Ukraine typically provide about 40% of Africa's wheat demand. Grain prices there rose 23% last year, and a devastating drought left 17 million people starving. This year, the situation will potentially worsen. Якби Це так само є, це є все якби Cyrillic languages, так? Але справа в тому, що всі вважають, що російська і українська це є дуже схожі мови, але вони синтаксично схожі лише на 62%. В той час як італійська і іспанська схожі на 80%, а німецька і датська схожі на 82%. Тобто українська і російська навіть не є настільки схожі, як італійська і іспанська, або німецька і датська. Тобто якби получається, що не настільки вони і схожі, це просто є брехня з російської сторони, яку вони нам завжди нав'язували. Це дві абсолютно різні мови. Окей. І більшість українських слів, які схожі на російську мову, до речі, це є русифіковані слова, так як типу пилосос, або там такі якісь речі. Окей, sorry, I was just responding. Okay. Okay, so Kutuzovka through the lens of documentary journalists. This village in Kharkiv region was recently liberated from the Russians. The photo shows horrific footage. Timofey, an 8-year-old boy, painting in the basement that has become his home for the past 3 months. Flies circling over the body of a Russian soldier. Remnants of the Russian peace in the form of a St. George's ribbon and shelled cars. Photos, Serhiy Korovayny. Here are the photos. Ну, мы белорусский тоже понимаем. Как бы я тоже понимаю белорусский. Большинство людей из России понимает, там, польский немножко понимает белорусский тоже, как бы, ну, языки как бы имеют ту же лексиконную группу, как бы, но при этом это разные языки. Hi, Slovakia. Oh, what is that? That is definitely a different. Okay. As of June 9th, all TV channels registered in Russia will stop broadcasting in Latvia. The decision was taken by the National Electronic Media Council. Hi, Bandera. Well, I mean, there is no Bandera here because Bandera died in 1959. Oh, he was murdered by a KGB agent in 1959. But if you'd like to find him, please go ahead. It will take you quite a while until you wake up and realize that he doesn't exist anymore. But also, maybe if he was alive, maybe Russians wouldn't be coming to Ukraine with how scared they are of all of these Bandera people. And just for the record, not every person who just doesn't support imperialism and genocide is a Bandera follower, Also, a Bandera follower doesn't mean a nationalist or a Nazi, It just means that you want Ukraine to be independent. And also, the whole concept, I'm going to leave this to the live with the historian, but we're going to have a whole live dedicated to Bandera and Ukrainian nationalism to explain why comparing it to Nazism is simply ignorant and simply is simply ignorant and uninformed, because people love talking about him and all of this stuff. All of this, basically, all of the stuff that people write about Bandera, they just love writing about all of these atrocities and all these things that he's done, but they completely take out the context. It's when you talk about him, it seems like this dude just woke up one day and was like, you know what? I'm gonna go kill people. That is not what happened, Historical context is really important. It's important to know that there were Bolsheviks coming, there were Germans coming, there were conflicts that we had with Polish people, and basically this army was formed in order to defend Ukrainians from the 3 sources that were coming to absorb us. And nobody is saying that he was perfect. Nobody is saying that he was like a good man. Nobody was saying that his methods were were like decent, right? But also when you look at the historical context and you just keep being like, Bandera, he was so bad. It's like, look at the Bolsheviks, look at Armia Krayova, look at any single military figure during that time. He was just as bad as everybody else. And like the reason why he was like loved in Ukraine is because he wrote the Declaration of Ukrainian Independence, and he made Ukraine independent, and then was sent to a Nazi concentration camp for that. So it's like, there is a lot of like, in a wartime you need a hero, and we have some people from recent history that we could put on a pedestal in order to help us like gain kind of like spirit to fight, right? Because if this man could fight 3 different armies, and if this man could fight for Ukrainian independence in those times, then who are we to not be able to fight, right? That's what he means, not like some terrifying things and stuff like that. Anyways, I will leave that to Natalia to explain, because I just want it to be explained as well as humanly possible. And nobody is trying to justify his actions. All of the historians agree that there are some things, obviously, that are horrendous. And I agree with that too. But also, again, you got to put context on all of the historical events before you start screaming about them. Because if you have no context to something, you can't understand it, right? So context is important. And one of those lives is going to be dedicated to Bandera, Ukrainian nationalism, and a lot of that kind of stuff, in order for all of us to have context and make our own conclusions. Because we're not here to tell you like, hey, stand for Bandera. We're just here to tell you like, know the history. Okay. Volodymyr Zelensky congratulated journalists on their professional holiday and chatted with them. Today is Journalists' Day. It's a professional day for people who work diligently on the informational front, tirelessly carrying the truth, sometimes even at the risk of their own lives. Thank you for your work. The truth will win. Ukraine will win. Hi, Colombia. І дякую, що ви мене дивитесь. Zelensky said that there was no risk of invasion from Belarus yet. We are preparing for all the risks of invasion, but so far our analysts, experts see no real risk of a re-invasion from Belarus, said the president during a meeting with journalists. Also, while there are a lot of you on here, I wanted to ask, if you have YouTube, can you please go over to YouTube and subscribe if you're interested? Every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Kyiv time, 1 p.m. Central time, and 11 a.m. Like Pacific time. We're going to do lives every Saturday with a Ukrainian historian, and she's going to be teaching us Ukrainian history, but not just Ukrainian history, but very hot topics. And we've broken it down onto 5 different lives so far, 5. And the first one is going to be history of Crimea. The second one is going to be history of Donbas region, like from back in the day. The third one is going to be Kyiv and Rus, Moscovia, Imperial Russia, and all of the rewriting of history. The fourth one is going to be Bandera and Ukrainian nationalism. And the fifth one is going to be, well, we will see. We will draw conclusions based on the questions you guys are asking. It's going to be an hour panel and then a 30-minute Q&A session afterwards. And also, we're going to obviously talk about the Soviet Union, Stalinism, repressions, and stuff like that. And it's going to be, well, that will have to play into Bandera as well, Basically, I mean, all of these things will play into history of Crimea and history of Donbas and all of this stuff, but we just wanted to separate these things in order to pack it with as much vital information as possible in order to give you as much knowledge as possible. And she's a Ukrainian historian. She's incredible. And also we have a translator. My YouTube name is Yulia. And you can also go to my YouTube by going to my TikTok profile, and right under my profile picture where it says follow or message, depending on whether you follow me or not, to the right of it, where people usually have their connected social media like Instagram and whatnot, I have my YouTube button there. So if you press on it, it's going to take you straight to my YouTube, where I'm also streaming right now. And basically, this stream is done both on my TikTok and on my YouTube. So there's that. If you prefer YouTube, you're welcome to walk over there and watch it from there. Volodymyr Zelensky commented on the imposition of a visa regime with Russia. I think that what you are suggesting, the introduction of a visa regime for Russian citizens, is not a bad idea. And I think that I have enough power to bring this to a positive result for Ukrainians, said Zelensky at the meeting with journalists. Turkey and Russia agree on corridor for export of Ukrainian grain without Ukraine's participation. Thank you. Thank you, Brady. Bloomberg, citing sources, writes, Turkey and Russia have reached a preliminary agreement on the resumption of deliveries of Ukrainian agricultural products from a key Black Sea port. The plan provides for the demining of the water area near Odessa and guarantees the safe exit of ships from the Black Sea under the auspices of the UN. Turkey suggests establishing a center in Istanbul to monitor and coordinate the cargoes. However, Ukraine did not directly participate in the negotiations. So basically, Russia sold stolen Ukrainian grain to Turkey, and Turkey just decided to not tell Ukraine about it. Thank you, Daniel. And that's just what they did. Hi. Yeah, so that's not like they've agreed on Ukrainian grain. What do you mean? It's like, oh, I agreed with your neighbor on your apartment. So like you have an apartment, right? I have nothing to do with your apartment. I stole your apartment, and then I went and sold it to your neighbor because I just wanted to, without telling you. That's not called negotiations over Ukrainian grain. That's called stealing, and that's called like selling stolen goods. That's what it is. That's crazy. Turkey has been pissing me off to the point of no tomorrow, because it is very, very obvious that they are trying to play both fields, where they're trying to look goody two-shoes in front of the world and be like, we have a good relationship with Russia. The only reason we talk to Russia is in order to be able to maintain a relationship with them, because somebody has to talk to them. Somebody has to be able to like speak to them, so we are able to communicate. And that's the only reason you do that. And like, yeah, we are going to keep letting Russian tourists come here, and we're going to keep taking their money because, Russian tourist money make up for most of our GDP, because this is, we're a resort country and Russians love going to Turkey. But what we are going to say is that the only reason that we are continuing to let Russians in is because, we need to have a country that Russia trusts. It is not because we just want to keep making money and we're two-faced and hypocritical. No, not at all. But we support Ukraine. Go Ukraine. Here's a Bayraktar. Okay? But we're going to keep making money on Russians, and we're going to keep being best friends with Putin. And we're going to buy your grain at a discounted price from Russia because, hey, like, you understand, right? We gave you a Bayraktar. What? What? Up-to-date map of military operations in Ukraine from British intelligence. Okay, wait 1 second. Of course, my Telegram starts glitching at the most important moment. Here, up-to-date map of military operations in Ukraine from British intelligence. The name of my YouTube channel is Yulia. And then Ukrainian American spy, well, because, it is what it is. Red arrow, Russian offensive, blue arrow, counter offensive of Ukrainian armed forces. So here is, I'm going to try, how do you know it's Ukrainian grain? Because it is literally on satellite images leaving Ukrainian ports. And Ukrainians can't leave with the grain because there are Russian ships blocking us. But it's okay. I'm going to do, wait. 1 second. What if I do this? Okay, here we go. So, Ukrainian counteroffensives are blue, Russians are red. So we're actually doing counteroffensives in a lot of different places, which is helpful for Ukraine. Okay, wait. bits of ASMR for those of you on YouTube who just heard that, because those were my pens and they're dangerously close to the microphone. Well, they can see ships that are leaving the ports in Ukraine, and also Russian trucks have been seen exporting Ukrainian grain back into Russia and stealing it. Like, it's not something that's hard to track. Like, it's with modern technology, you see all of these things really easily. It's just that, like, Russia lives in cave ages, clearly, because they keep using freaking washing machine parts for their like military equipment. Obviously, they are not aware that these things are easily tracked, so they keep doing it. Or they just don't care, honestly, both probably. Our soldiers hold control in Severodonetsk. Operational summary of the General Staff of AFU. So we keep holding Severodonetsk. Ukraine is being pushed towards peace with Russia at a disadvantage for Ukraine, according to Zelensky. I do not have any negotiations about the plans of the peace plan. Such negotiations today are the level of 0. Everyone very much wants to push us as much as possible to some result, exactly not desired for us, because we have not been asked yet, but beneficial for those or other parties who have their own interests, again, different, both financial and political. Fatigue is growing, people want some result for themselves, and we need a result for us. At the same time, Zelensky is sure Ukraine should work with all European and world states. Russian invaders are building a pontoon crossing in Kharkiv region. This fact was recorded by satellite images of Planet Labs. The crossing is being built across the river near the village of Kupiansk-Uzlova. This direction leads to the regional highway R79, running from the Russian border in the direction of the occupied town of Izum. Fierce fighting continues in this area, according to the AFU General Staff. What legitimate question? Like, what are you talking about? Are you talking about asking me 8 million times, how do we know that it's Ukrainian grain? I've answered that question 8 million times. I've answered it 3 times, and you keep asking it over and over. You can track where the grain came from through satellites, because it's not just like do you understand how satellite imaging works? You can literally see who shot someone through satellites in a lot of cases. Like, Biden declares state of emergency in the US. This decision was made by the President of the United States due to the threat of a shortage of electricity generation capacity for consumers and disruptions in energy markets caused by Russia's invasion of Ukraine and extreme weather events exacerbated by climate change. Biden also introduced a permit for a temporary extension and duty-free import of solar cells and modules from Southeast Asia. Dude, do you think grain... Okay, let me just educate a troll really quick, because you're either a troll or you're extremely ignorant. Pick one, okay? Here's the thing. I feel like, honestly, in this case, you want to be a troll, because if you're that ignorant, I don't know how to help you. Here's the thing. Do you understand what a large thing of grain looks like? It's not like they're taking grain like this and they're putting it in a truck, right? And you have to like look into someone's palms to see that they're putting in grain. Do you understand what export of grain looks like? It's gigantic vehicles filled with grain. Yeah, you can see it on a freaking satellite. Like, what do you think? Do you think it looks like this and you have to like find it like from a satellite? Like, are you like, I'm sorry. I don't want to offend anybody, but like, did you happen to have a lobotomy recently? I'm sorry, did you just ask me if satellites are an independent source? Did you just ask me if satellites are an independent source? I feel like before you, I'm in a stupor, and it's really hard to put me in a stupor. So like, congratulations, you've succeeded in something in life. But before you open your mouth ever again, because honestly, it is it's not even comical. It is saddening. Go onto Google and look up satellite imaging. Okay, start there. Figure out what satellite imaging is, and then we can talk about it. Okay, because I don't think you understand what independent sources is. I don't know what problem you have with experts and how you're trying to tie that to be illegitimate sources, but here is the thing. I'm glad you've received your rubles. You've made enough comments. I'm sure you're gonna have a good payday according to Russian dumpster fire standards, and I'm sure that you're gonna be able to go buy yourself something nice. I'm very happy that I could provide that for you, because I feel like that is doing more than you have ever done for Ukraine or anybody else in your life, provided that you chose this as your occupation, which is honestly really sad. Because to be fair, out of everything you could have chosen to be in life, you could have gone to college, you could have learned English properly, you could have gone to I think I'm superior over trolls. Hell yeah, because I'm not selling out to somebody to spread propaganda. Yeah, I think that qualifies. Yeah, I don't think I'm superior over anyone, but am I superior over a person who consciously spreads harmful information for, like, I don't know, literally miserable amounts of money? Yeah, I am. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not even like, yes, 100 million% I am. I'm not even going to entertain being humble about it. No. Like, really. Because these people literally know that they're spreading garbage, and they keep spreading it for miserable amounts of money. And, like, it doesn't take anything to become a troll, have a scenario in your hand, and write this stuff. And that makes you a garbage human being. Because you are genuinely harming another country knowingly. And that's what you choose to do for a living. Like, God, dude, you could literally, like, with the experience of how much garbage you write online, you could have a blog. You could make money off a blog. You could be writing descriptions for people's YouTube channels on Fiverr. That's a thing. Like, people need copywriters. You could be a copywriter. No, I'm not even talking to trolls anymore. It's just like a little bit of a personal, I digress kind of moment, right? It's just like, it bothers me, not because they don't bother me. It's okay. I know they're trolls. I know, like, it's fine. Like, they're here to make some money. I mean, honestly, if this is how you choose to make money, you should be really miserable. So it's like, I mean, extend the helping hand. But here's the thing. It's like, with that experience, I mean, you can put I worked for a Russian troll farm on your resume, but, like, we all like to embellish our resumes, and you can, like, say that I've been writing comments all day, 360, I don't know how many vacation days could they have. Okay, let's say like 295 days of the year. I've been writing 300 comments, 300 blog posts a day, short blog posts, and you could have a literal job being a copywriter, but no, you literally choose to do this. Like, it doesn't even require brain work. Genuinely. Like, it's so sad. It's like, is that really all you're capable of? God, I feel sorry for you. And then, because of people like that, things in Mariupol happen, and then we have to read, headlines like this. And this is a headline: tens of thousands of deaths from a cholera epidemic are a potentially realistic scenario for occupied Mariupol. There is no medicine. Medical facilities have been trashed. The most valuable equipment has been removed. The best doctors have left. And the sea and bodies of water are constantly polluted by garbage, sewage, and cadaveric waters. By cadaveric waters, they mean, like, water that's contaminated through, like, dead bodies decomposing in there. Even with treatment, in neglected terms, the death rate from cholera can be as high as 10%. Without systematic treatment, the disease already takes up to 60% of lives. India intends to double imports of Russian oil. Blaming Russia for the global food crisis by the head of the European Council, Charles Michel, forced Russian Ambassador Nebenzia to leave the meeting of the UN Security Council. The head of the European Council said that the Kremlin is using food supplies as a stealth missile against developing countries. The dramatic consequences of Russia's war are spilling over the world. It is causing food prices to rise, impoverishing populations, and destabilizing entire regions. Russia is the only one responsible for this food crisis. Russia and only Russia, despite the Kremlin's campaign of lies and disinformation. Finally, somebody has balls to say it. Thank you. The week is going to be very hard. Arestovich gave a disappointing forecast for the coming days. Advisor to the head of the OP, Alexei Arestovich, said on Fagin Live that the Liman group of the enemy will most likely be able to capture Svetohirsk and from Izum the offensive on Barvinkovo to cut the route from there to Slavyansk. The siege of Slavyansk is already approaching, and our troops north of the Seversky Donetsk will either be defeated or retreat to the southern bank. Also, according to him, this week will be very hard for Ukraine and the ZSU. The advisor to the head of the OP hopes that the command has some ingenious plans, otherwise the situation is very difficult. Boris Johnson has received a vote of confidence. BBC sources. Yes, so Boris survived. We know that from yesterday. Sorry, I couldn't finish the news yesterday. So, yeah. Volodymyr Zelensky's new address. In order not to diminish the attention to Ukraine, to our struggle for freedom, everyone should continue to talk about what is happening, distribute information, support our needs. Of course, this is especially true for journalists. And today, by the way, I want to wish them not to limit themselves in our internal Ukrainian context. The more we say about Ukraine in the world, the sooner we will be able to end the war and liberate our land. English can receive the status of the language of business communication in Ukraine, Prime Minister of Ukraine, Denis Shmyhal. Currently, the Cabinet of Ministers is working on a corresponding legislative initiative. Today, English is used in business communication throughout the civilized world. So giving it such a status in Ukraine will help develop business, attract investment, and accelerate Ukraine's European integration. The line ministries are given the task to develop proposals and draw up the relevant documents. What weapons are being given to? Nope, we're not going to do that. What in the world is this? Okay. Putin says he will not use trade routes to attack Odessa. This is the same Putin who told German Chancellor Scholz and French President Macron he would not attack Ukraine days before launching a full-scale invasion of our country. We cannot trust Putin. His words are empty. Exactly. Japan extends sanctions against Russia over war in Ukraine. Japan imposes sanctions against Rosselscho's Moscow Credit Bank, and Belarusian Bank for Development and Reconstruction, the Japanese Foreign Ministry said. Control over Severodonetsk changes hands. Russian forces likely retain control of most of Severodonetsk as of June 6th, although the exact situation in the city remains unclear. The European Council will discuss the status of the candidate for Ukraine at the summit on June 23rd, 24th, Heroyam Slava. According to the deputy head of the presidential office, Ihor Zhovkva, the European Commission is currently preparing a conclusion on Ukraine's compliance with the Copenhagen criteria for EU membership. The discussion on granting the status of a candidate for EU membership for Ukraine will be held on June 23rd, 24th. A man was wounded as a result of shelling in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Kryvyi Rih region is under shelling again at night. The enemy hit the Zelenodolsk community from Hurricane MLRS. Also today, there were air raid sirens all over Ukraine. I was talking on the phone to my mom, and actually an air raid siren went off, and she was at the park, and she had to run home. And it was it's very eerie to talk to your parents and have air raid sirens in the background 9 out of 10 times. So here's the thing: for most regions of Ukraine that do not have active warfare, they still have air raid sirens most days. Lviv. Lviv didn't have air raid sirens for 2 days straight, and Lviv normally has air raid sirens for 3 minutes, and then next air raid siren comes on when the alert is off. Right? Some regions have air raid sirens that last through the entire time that it's relevant. Right? But it's really hard to sleep. It's really hard to. It really does. Like it really, really, really does mess with your mental health. Not mine, obviously, but the people who live there, the people who live in the region. And it's really upsetting. It's really, really upsetting, and it's really difficult. So even if you think that there is no active warfare and therefore it's like quite okay living in those lands, it really isn't. It's impossible to get anything to Mariupol right now because it's completely besieged by Russian soldiers. And there were lots of pilots that delivered aid to Mariupol. All of them have completed their missions. Most of them did not come back. So when there were soldiers at Azovstal, those soldiers were getting supplies through helicopters on missions, and every single one of the helicopter pilots completed their mission, but most of them did not survive and did not return from those missions, which is incredibly sad. Someone asked about my tattoos. I have a couple of them. My aunt Anastasia, who's also the illustrator behind the Ukrainian American spy logo, she drew most of them. So this is just like kind of a girl winking, and it's sort of like, I guess, her vision of me. I used to have really short hair, and this is just kind of like what it is. Then this is a hot air balloon. It's one of my favorite things. I feel like they're so dreamy, and they just kind of give you, like, they lift your mood, and they just kind of put you in a good mood. I really love hot air balloons, and so that's just what it is. It's my favorite tattoo. It's very fine line and very detailed. Anastasia drew it. And then I have this one, which is like a girl with flowers in her head. And for all of my Russian and Ukrainian speakers, I don't know if your parents have told you this, but my parents, my whole childhood, were like, "У тебя фиалки в голове." Like, so you have like violets in your head instead of your brain. Basically, like you're like, whoa, you live in your own world. So that's what my mom used to tell me. And then when I was in the US, and I don't know, I just feel like, sure, but that's what makes me me, so this is what it is. Then I have one here, which is like just a silhouette of like a woman right there. I have this, which is my first ever tattoo, and it's really screwed up. It didn't heal well, but I'm not going to fix it because I was like, it was my first tattoo. It's bound to be screwed up, and I want it to be awful, so it is what it is. And 7 is for my birthday. It's the day of my birthday. And then I have another one on my ankle, but I'm just not going to go there because it's just not what I want to do right now. And that's it. That's all I have. And hot air balloons are my thing. I really love them. Okay. The Russians shelled a market. A mining college and a school in Lysychansk, where 2 people were injured. The fighting for Severodonetsk is in full swing. Instead of water supply in the houses of Mariupol residents, fountains appear in the city. Yesterday in Mariupol, the invaders turned on water supplies to the Primorsky district. Previously, they loudly reported on the pair of 600 kilometers of water pipes. The result in the video. Mariupol residents report that there is such a picture of fountains and all water conduits in open space. Advisor to the mayor of Mariupol, Petro Andrushenko. So here is what it looks like. Yeah, that water is not getting to the residents. The bodies of the soldiers who died during the fighting at Azovstal were delivered to Ukraine. Between Ukraine and Russia last week, there was an exchange of bodies of 160 soldiers. At least 52 of them are the dead military regiment Azov. Anna Holovko, press secretary of the Azov regiment, informed the publication about this. DNA testing will be carried out in Kyiv to identify the remains. Heroyam Slava. Meanwhile, Volodymyr Zelensky told reporters yesterday that there could be more than 2.5 thousand prisoners from Azovstal who are in the territory of ORDLO, and he added that the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine is engaged in negotiations on their exchange. The main task is to bring people home. Let me remind you that there is not one, but one very well-known British citizen, Aidan Aslan, otherwise known as Cossack Gandhi, who was in the Marines Brigade, the 36th Marines Brigade, who was trying to reach Azovstal and was captured instead. And he has been interrogated by Russians and kept prisoner of war by Russians in horrible conditions. He has been made to spread propaganda on recording, and he is being put to trial in Russia soon. And there is a life sentence that is hanging over his head. And he needs to be returned back home. And I don't think there is enough media attention on that cause because, well, this man has been fighting in Ukraine since 2017. And he came to help us, and he found a fiance in Ukraine. He was going to buy a house in Ukraine. He was building his life in Ukraine. And I think that he deserves as much attention as every Ukrainian soldier and as every soldier of Azov regiment, because this man chose Ukraine over his own life. And he is not even Ukrainian. So I think justice for Aidan Aslan should be much more of a hashtag than it is right now, and should be much more of a talk than it is right now. And I don't see it. I don't see anybody talking about him. People were talking about him the day that they found out that he was a POW, but nobody talks about him anymore. But he's still very much imprisoned. He's still very much in horrible conditions, and he's literally facing a life sentence trial in Russia, which I can guarantee you he's going to get that life sentence because it's Russia. Also, I have like a little fan on here, Aidan Aslan, Cossack Gandhi. You can look him up. I'm also going to make a video about him again tonight after this live, but I need to turn on my little fan because I'm like sweating. So give me a second. Wait, sorry. I just have a fan that's like basically under my table, and it like kind of makes me colder. Keeping of one captive Russian invader costs Ukraine at least 3,000 hryvnias monthly, Ministry of Justice. This amount includes food, clothing, hygiene products, and utility bills. In addition, there are expenses for medical equipment, medicine, and staff salaries. The Ministry of Justice notes that Ukraine provides conditions for prisoners of war under the Geneva Convention. For prisoners without prospects for a quick exchange, special camps operate. The rest are kept in penitentiary institutions. They're kept separate from other prisoners for safety of the POWs themselves. The France 2 TV channel showed the corpses of Russian invaders next to the damaged equipment in the Donbass, which was hit by French self-propelled guns Caesar. On the territory of the Kherson region, a referendum will be held on the entry of the region into the Russian Federation. This was stated by the so-called deputy head of the military-civilian administration of the region, Kirill Strimousov, which is not even illegal. Thank you so much, Glenn. Which is not even illegal, it's obscene. It's obscene because you have seen all of the protests of people in Kherson. They carry out Ukrainian flags. They scream, "Go back to Russia." They say Kherson is Ukraine. Kherson's Ukraina. And like, all of it is Ukraine. And it's just like, I don't understand how the world allows this to happen. How the world allows this to happen again. What do you mean entry to Russia? Like, I can't fathom this. And it makes me so upset. On the night of June 7th, Russian invaders fired on Seradina Buda in the Sumy region. The shelling began at about 5 a.m. There were 7 shots from a mortar, after which artillery fire was opened. Yeah, exactly. It's like people fled Kherson, but also they did not. A lot of people are unable to leave Kherson. because Russians are not letting them out, because they need to have uh, a semblance of Ukrainian people voting, and they're going to make them vote for Russia under gun to their head. So it's like there are people in Kherson. A lot of them fled, but a lot of them weren't able to. And they're going to make it look like people in Kherson want it, the ones who stayed. At least 6 houses, an outbuilding, and a garage are damaged and fires are raging. The power line was also damaged. According to preliminary data, there were no dead or injured among the local population. Are you Ukrainian? Yes, I am. Я зі Львова. Я там народилася і виросла. Ovsyannikova, who ran out on the air of Russian news program with an anti-war poster, decided to change her husband's Russian surname to her native Ukrainian, Tkachuk. Oh, really? The Russian propagandist wants to change her last name to Ukrainian, Tkachuk, after 8 years of literally writing and scripting Russian propaganda, because she was editor-in-chief of one of Russia's largest propaganda channels. Oh, and now she got a job in Germany for her brave Russian propaganda action, and now she's changing her last name to a Ukrainian one. Oh, really? No, thank you. We don't claim you. I really hope that Ukraine doesn't allow that, because that is just saving face. And that is just understanding that you can have a better career pretending to care about Ukraine. But we don't need you. No, thank you. Go back to Russia. Go back to doing what you were doing, because it's, convenient to stop doing it now. In the Zaporizhzhia region, air defense forces shot down a Russian missile, according to the head of the Zaporizhzhia military administration, Alexander Starokh. It happened at about 7:30 a.m. More than 730 children were affected in Ukraine as a result of full-scale armed aggression of the Russian Federation. As of the morning of June 7th, 263 children have been unalived and more than 467 have been injured due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The children victims in the regions of Ukraine: Donetsk region 190, Kyiv 116, Kharkiv 112, Chernihiv 68, Luhansk 53, Kherson 52, Mykolaiv 47, Zaporizhzhia 29, Sumy 17, Kyiv 16, Житомир 15. Та, звичайно, я можу по-українськи. Я зі Львова, я українка. Я не народжена в Америці, я не є якби людина з українським корінням, я якби українка. Тобто в мене батьки живуть у Львові, і я виїхала зі Львова в 17 років на навчання, і потім сталося життя, і я залишилася. Але я українка, я маленька з України, тато і ненька. Belarus began training of the country's armed forces on the transition from peacetime to wartime. The general focus of the classes is to conduct a set of consecutive trainings with all categories of military personnel, subdivisions, military units, formations, military command and control bodies on the organized implementation of measures to transfer from peacetime to wartime, the Belarusian Defense Ministry said in a press release. Updated map of the situation in the east of Ukraine from European war experts. In their opinion, fierce fighting continues in the eastern part of the country, in the Izum-Liman directions and in Severodonetsk. Information about the advance to the northwest from Kherson and armed forces of Ukraine is partially confirmed. The village of Blagodatne returned under the control of Ukraine, and this information was confirmed by Alexei Arestovich, advisor to the head of the presidential office. This means that the armed forces of Ukraine are already 15 kilometers from Kherson. Over the past day, the Russians shelled the Metallist Stadium, residential areas of Kharkiv and the Kharkiv region. There are dead and wounded. From under the rubble, as a result of the shelling of the Kyivsky district of Kharkiv, rescuers got out a 52-year-old man. He's in the hospital. A 70-year-old woman and another person were also wounded, said the head of the Kharkiv military administration, Oleg Sinehubov. Also, you have probably all seen this photo, but I'm going to show it again. You probably have seen the video as well, but this is a high school graduate standing in front of the rubble of her high school that has been destroyed by the Russian invasion. There is a very, very, very touching video It's probably all over YouTube, and it's a video of Ukrainian high school graduates waltzing literally on the ruins of the high school they're graduating from. The invaders are beginning to de-Ukrainianize the Mariupol steel at the entrance to the city. They will change the Ukrainian name to a normal Russian one. This was reported by the Mariupol City Council, focusing on the fact that in the city itself, where there is still no water, electricity, and gas supply, people are starving. According to the city council, the invaders reported that 300 Mariupol residents received humanitarian aid from St. Petersburg, while there are now more than 120,000 people in the city. Residents lack food and potable water. Meanwhile, a cholera epidemic begins in Mariupol due to unsanitary conditions, heat, and decomposition of corpses. From September 1st, the academic year in Ukraine will start offline. I want to inform all parents and students that on September 1st, the educational process in Ukraine will be resumed offline, and all children, students must go to schools, universities, colleges, vocational education institutions. I urge our children to prepare for the offline process in Ukrainian education. In Mykolaiv, as a result of yesterday's shelling, a man was unalived and another one was wounded. According to the mayor of Mykolaiv, Alexander Sienkiewicz, 9 private houses were damaged. The power line was cut off on one of the streets. Oh my gosh. Hi, Skylar. Dmitry Medvedev, deputy chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation. I am often asked why my posts on Telegram are so harsh. The answer is I hate them. They want death for us, Russia, and as long as I am alive, I will do everything to make them disappear. About the enemies of Russia, June 7th, 2022. Meanwhile, Russia admitted that they sent about 600 conscripts to fight in Ukraine. This was stated by the military prosecutor of the Western District, Artur Yegiev. And Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said that they allegedly control 97% of the Luhansk region and most of the residential areas of Severodonetsk. He announced the opening of automobile traffic from Russia to the Crimea through mainland Ukraine. Also, according to him, 6,489 people are in captivity of the Russian Federation, also captured 15 settlements in Donbass. Are you native to what? To Ukraine? Yes. Volodymyr Zelensky published photos of Ukrainian defenders and signed the photo as followed. Ukraine has shown extraordinary courage. We did not surrender to Russia. We have stopped and are gradually ousting the army of invaders, which was recently considered the second strongest in the world. Nobody expected Ukrainians to have courage of this magnitude, but this scale is there. And this is a property of our character, a willingness, it should be a will to fight for freedom and for our values. The Russian invaders want to capture the city of Zaporizhia. The idea of holding a referendum on the annexation of the Zaporizhia region to Russia is being discussed. I don't understand. Are they actually, pardon my French, I wish I could bleep this, but are they actually bleeping insane? Genuinely. I don't understand. They keep saying oh, referendum. Are they stupid? I don't even understand. What's the point of these referendums anymore? It's not like they can fool anybody in the world into thinking that these people are actually voting for them. At this point, you just might as well just be hey, we're taking this. The people are against it, but we're here and we're taking it. Who are they making these referendums for? Who are they putting this show on for? No one in the world believes that. Even the countries that support them only support them for the cheap freaking stolen wheat and grain and stuff. It's not like they're oh yes, Russia good, we believe Russia nice. No, it's yo, we're starving and we need food. But it's who are they? Sorry. No words. Another Russian missile strike contributing to the global food crisis. Russian forces have destroyed the second biggest grain terminal in Ukraine in Mykolaiv. In light of such reports, the disinformation spread by Putin deflecting blame becomes even more cynical. Sorry, this is not funny information, but it just sounds like. Sorry. The first deputy general director of the Russian social network VK, Vladimir Gabrielian, and purchasing director Sergei Merzlyakov died in a tragic accident, the company said. Both disappeared on the evening of June 6th near the Bolshaya Bugryanitsa River off the coast of the White Sea. Their all-terrain vehicle overturned while passing the river. The bodies of the dead were found in the morning. Yes, tragic accident. Does not sound like these people were taken out whatsoever. Tragic accident. It's like the doctors who kept falling out of windows for no reason mysteriously, right? Same thing. Russian sabotage reconnaissance group may enter Volyn region from Belarus, advisor to Interior Minister Andriusev. The European Commission will distribute between Ukraine and Moldova 26 million intended for Russia and Belarus. The EU proposes to redistribute funds under the Interreg Next cross-border cooperation program in Eastern Europe. 26.2 million, which was originally allocated for common projects with Belarus and Russia for 2021 to 2027, will be directed to similar programs with Ukraine and Moldova. What? Yeah. Due to the fighting with the invaders in the east, more than 300,000 residents of the Donetsk region are left without electricity supply. Russian troops target power lines and substations. Thank you for the sunflowers. Volodymyr Zelensky published his interview for the Financial Times. In this interview, Zelensky noted that Ukraine is inferior to Russia in terms of technology, so Ukrainian troops are not capable of advancing. I think they meant, I think he meant Russia is inferior to Ukraine. Sometimes when people translate these things, they just like translate them like so botched. Oh no, we are inferior in terms of technology, so we're not able to attack. We will suffer heavy losses, and people are my priority, Zelensky said. The president also said that Western sanctions didn't really affect Moscow's position. Pushing Russian forces back into positions held before February 24th invasion would mean a major temporary victory for Ukraine, he said. But full sovereignty over its territory remains his ultimate goal. The occupation authorities of Mariupol instructed teachers, employees of children's centers and kindergartens to provide a video recording of children singing the anthem of the Russian Federation and the Young Republics by June 12th, the Day of Russia. If they refuse to comply with this directive, teachers are threatened with arrest and removal from the humanitarian aid lists, along with their family members. Video recordings will be massively distributed in confirmation of the joy of the arrival of the Russian Federation as part of the flash mob we have been waiting for 8 years. Yeah, in the besieged city where people are literally dying from thirst, from lack of water, from eating ramen noodles once a week, they have been waiting for Russia for 8 years, and they waited so long for their city to be completely destroyed by Russians. In Kherson, the invaders demand schools to transfer education to Russian educational programs from September 1st, Ukrainian intelligence reports. Of the approximately 60 local school principals present, only 2 accepted the offer. Also, here is what schools look like in Mariupol. And Russians are making Ukrainian children go to school in the summer in order to catch up to the Russian educational system. In these schools, in the ruins of buildings. Rinat Akhmetov's enterprises applied to the Prosecutor General's office with a request to open criminal proceedings against Russia. The reason is that the invaders steal and export from Mariupol the metal of Azovstal and the Ilich plants, which are Akhmetov's. An ordinary day in Mariupol, in the yard of a half-destroyed house, children sitting in an ammunition box, dismantling it to make a fire for cooking. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, Poland will sign the largest arms sales contract to Ukraine in 30 years. Now we're signing one of the largest, if not the largest, arms export contract in the last 30 years, selling arms to Ukraine, weapons that have been tested, weapons that have been very well tested and checked, and that will be a very important weapon on the battlefield, most likely in eastern Ukraine, Morawiecki said. However, he did not specify what kind of weapons would be delivered to Ukraine under the contract. Good. Nobody needs to know. The EU weakened the sixth package of sanctions against Russia without any explanation. According to Mikhailo Podolyak, advisor to the head of the presidential office, the EU excluded from the sanctions the ban on access to European cloud services. Once again, sanctions have been ignored. Europe's largest buyers have agreed to pay Russia for gas under the new scheme. Hungary, Germany, France, Italy, Austria, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Greece. Lviv paratroopers destroyed armored vehicles and up to 50 Pskov invader paratroopers. The occupation authorities of Melitopol reported that trains began to run from Melitopol to Crimea. According to them, the first 11 wagons from the Melitopol grain elevator left on June 7th. Through the eyes of documentarians, the city of Pokrovsk, Donetsk region, from which there is still an evacuation route for residents of hotspots of Avdiivka, Slovyansk, Konstantinivka, Kramatorsk. Every day from here at the railway station at 4:30 p.m., a free evacuation train departs for Dnipro, Lviv, and other cities in western Ukraine. Many people leave the shelling not knowing where to go next, what to do next, and how to live. New satellite images of the battlefields in eastern Ukraine have surfaced. The first photo is a field northwest of Slovyansk, riddled with shells. The second photo is a crater 40 meters in diameter in the village Dovhenke, Kharkiv region. The third and fourth photo, the town of Rubizhne, before and after the arrival of Pax Rusica. So this is before. This is after. Before. After. The Greek Ministry of Defense criticized Germany for refusing to provide Ukraine with military equipment without intermediaries, and the Germans want to transfer weapons through Greece. Ukraine has already returned 210 bodies of dead servicemen, most of them heroic defenders of Azovstal. This was reported by the HUR of the Ministry of Defense. Ukraine wants to buy the Israeli air defense system Iron Dome. This was stated by Ukrainian ambassador to Israel Yevhen Kornichuk at a press conference in Tel Aviv. According to him, this is necessary in order to protect their cities and family and military facilities from Russian missile strikes. I want the Israeli government to step out of its comfort zone and return to reality, he said. Ukraine received military aid from Lithuania, said Lithuanian Defense Minister Arvydas Anušauskas. Oh, thank you, Tammy. Ukraine received 20 military vehicles, including trucks and SUVs. Another 20 armored personnel carriers from Lithuania will arrive soon. Strong explosions are heard in Kharkiv. More than 31,000 Russian servicemen have already died in Ukraine. Since February 24th, Russia has been paying almost 300 lives a day for a completely senseless war against Ukraine. And still, the day will come when the number of losses, even for Russia, will exceed the permissible limit, said Zelensky. Summary of his address. The government is setting up headquarters to prepare for the next heating season. It'll be objectively the most difficult winter in all the years of independence. Ukraine will not sell gas and coal abroad. Tariffs for gas and electricity should not change in the next heating season. On the front, the situation as a whole has not changed. A heroic defense is being waged. The launch of a special book of executioners is planned next week, an information system that collects confirmed data on war criminals from the Russian army. The creation of such an information system has been going on for some time. These are specific facts about specific people guilty of specific brutal crimes against Ukrainians. Lend-lease equipment. Hi, Melanie. Lend-lease equipment will arrive in 2-3 weeks. According to him, the first Lend-lease equipment from the United States, which was sent by large transport ships, should arrive in Ukraine in about 2-3 weeks. You must understand that it takes a long time to load in America, 2 weeks, then they sail across the Atlantic for 10-12 days. Then they sail to Europe, then they unload. You must understand that it takes time, at least a month, said the advisor to the head of the presidential office. And this is the last piece of news that I have for you today. As always, thank you for being here. I do have a quasi-funny story. It's not actually funny, but so Cindy lost her air tag. Cindy always has like an air tag hanging in her collar. And I bought this like a month and a half ago and it just arrived recently. And I'm like, oh, sweet. Cindy doesn't have her air tag, but she lost her air tag and she lost it somewhere near my apartment, right? Somehow somebody picked up that air tag because it's now in Far Rockaway Beach. And just to give you an explanation of how freaking far away that is, it's like, okay, I'm not going to show you where I am, but basically Far Rockaway Beach is like over here, right? Like you've got to go to the airport and stuff. And the thing is that you have to go all this way to get there. It's an hour and a half drive from where I live. It's really far. And I keep seeing it on my find my iPhone, whatever thing, right? And I keep sending them lost alert because it doesn't work. Like it's already connected to my phone. So this person can't use it. And it's been like 2 weeks. And this person refuses to respond to it because if they found the air tag, it's going to show them a message on their phone that they found an air tag. No, it keeps moving. It legitimately keeps moving. It keeps moving in Far Rockaway. And it's like on the beach, and then it's at home, and then it's on the beach, and then it's at home, and then sometimes it goes into like somewhere in the middle of Brooklyn because this person drives a car, right? And I literally watched it drive to Far Rockaway too. And I'm so confused because I keep sending them like, hey, lost air tag alert. Thank you, Melanie. And they don't do anything about it. I'm like, dude, why do you need this? You can't use it. It's useless. It is literally useless. And all it does is I just keep pinging it. So it keeps making random noises at random hours for you. I don't understand. But also, if you would like to know how durable air tags are, this is the second air tag that Cindy lost. She lost one last year and it literally fell into the sewage system. And I saw it fall into the sewage system. It's been a year and a half or a year since that AirTag was lost, and I can still see it on Find My iPhone, and it's 97% charged, and it's still you can see it, you can literally see its location where it fell into the drain and it got stuck somewhere, but it's 97% battery, and it's been like literally what's its face like it's been raining on it, like it's, AirTags are pretty durable. This is a light little ad for AirTags. Apple, please sponsor me, because clearly Cine needs more AirTags than I can afford to have. I don't know if a little kid picked it up, but it's like, but the little kid was like in the car, like I feel like the parents would keep hearing the noise. And also the way an AirTag works, it's not just going to like notify one iPhone, it's going to notify all iPhones in the area that it's been lost. So the parents would know, Anyways, like it's very strange. I don't know why this person wouldn't return this stupid AirTag to me. Like, it's so stupid. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Where is Cine? I'll show you Cine in a second. I'm gonna go grab her. See ya. Gremlin. Oh my gosh, Gremlin. Come say hello. Hello. For those of you who haven't met her, her name is Cine, and she's the grumpiest grump of all grumps. Oh. Right. She's like, Mom, I'm still sleeping. Oh, she would love a baby carrier. Are you kidding me? But she's so freaking heavy that I would get some sort of like what are these things called when you what is it called when you like pick up something that's too heavy and then you have like that formation in between your muscles that like basically pushes onto the tissue, and it's like, and you have to have surgery for it. Hernia. Yeah. I would develop a hernia from carrying this thing in a baby carrier. Are you kidding me? I would not sign up for this. It is 30 pounds. It is 30 pounds of bulldog. Are you joking? Herojem slava. Herojem slava, Roma. So yeah. Cine is asleep. She don't care. She don't care. Da-da-dun, dun, 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 dun. Yeah. I've been taking her with me to run errands during the day. So she is like usually pretty passed out by this time. Right? Oh, we don't woof. We don't know how to bark. We know how to like she literally her bark is like yeah. You know. Yeah. Mwah. She also knows how to high five me on Slava Ukraini, Slava Nazi, Российской Федерации, but she's obviously too tired for this. Oh my gosh, Sinya. Oh, you're so heavy. Okay. Oh my god, baby. Oh, child. Oh. Go here. Oh, Jesus. Okay. This was Cine, my lovely skinny little French bulldog. Totally does not need to lose weight at all. Cine, I'm sorry, we're not fattest here, but also like, geez, you're heavy. Okay. On that note, I'm gonna go walk Cine, and I'm gonna I need to work in a couple of things. Thank you so very much for being here. If you have an ability to, please consider signing up for my Patreon. It's I think not I think, but the cheapest subscription is $10 a month, and I do really, 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 really appreciate every single subscription, because for me it goes a long way, as I'm doing this full time for now, because I really want to dedicate all of the time that I possibly can to Ukraine, and it does really help. My Patreon thing is the same as it's Yulia. It's patreon.com/Yulia. I post all of my lives and save them there. I also post Cine content. I also post some personal content. I haven't been very active last week, but I'm going to resume quite high activity this week. And I'm also going to try and do like a stamp giveaway among Patreon people. So if you could please consider subscribing, because you know, it's basically like Netflix. Thank you so very much, and I will see you guys tomorrow. And Cindy, hey, hey, boo, hey, say bye. She's like, I hate you. Okay, thank you guys. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye. Bye, YouTube.